Hey guys, what's up? It's imuRgency and welcome back to my channel. Episode 3 of Euphoria. It came, it saw, it conquered, it did its thing. And this week's episode was really just like unapologetically messy and then also kind of traumatic and sad. And we need to sit down, unpack, and break this episode down because there is just so much to unpack, like every episode, but this episode I feel like there's just something a little bit more. There's a lot that's a lot more actually. So let's get into it. If you have not already, definitely hit that subscribe button because we break down episodes of Euphoria every single week and you do not want to miss it. As you may know, we are on the road to 100K and we are almost there, so definitely subscribe. Also, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like because that helps out a whole bunch, and follow me on my socials at imuRgency to keep up with me. But let's talk about Euphoria episode 3. So I feel like this episode had a lot of characters hitting rock bottom, or at least somewhere near that. In a sense where like everyone's kind of down bad. Everyone's kind of down bad. Some people are down worse than others. Cassie. Rue. But yeah, overall, not a great episode for characters' mental health, I have to say. Starting off with the elephant in the room, Rue this episode was just a whole mess. She spent this entire episode lying to everyone around her. First, she's lying to her sister about the substances that she's using, and there's this whole scene that's so dramatic but also so real where her and her sister get into this fight, and we get to see a really dark side to Rue. She explains to us, and we basically see her manipulate her sister into feeling bad for her by threatening some very problematic things in terms of her mental health and weaponizing mental illness and her substance abuse issues against her own sister. And this was dark. Like, I'm starting to understand what Zendaya was talking about when she's saying that this season was going to be a little bit more mature, because wow, that's real. That's real. Like, that is really real. And I feel so bad for Rue's sister Gia because of the mental turmoil and mental duress that Rue puts on her without really even caring. Like, I feel like Gia's mental health is something that we really need to get into, and something that like is constantly overlooked, because Gia genuinely cares for her sister, and it's really hard to do that when her sister doesn't seem to really care about herself. Like, that whole scene, with the exception of like the whole like screaming match they did, that did have me laugh just a little bit, but like that whole scene was so like deep and impactful, and like at the end of it I was like, wow, this happened. We're going here. We're really going here. But also kind of pivoting, those of y'all that have been speculating in my pre-show hangouts, which I recommend you watch every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I go live on here to like talk about like the last episode and like the current episode, whatever. You should hang out. And in my TikTok comments, like a lot of y'all were prophesizing that Rue is going to be in her drug dealer era. Yeah, we're onto something, because why did that happen? Why is she now becoming a drug dealer? Like, she really got herself in deep for some money. Actually, I'm not sure if I said that myself too in like the first episode predictions. Did I? Oh. She runs out of substances and goes off to the drug dealer mob boss that we saw in episode 1 that was dealing with Fez, and basically creates a business partnership with her where she gets lended a large sum of money to then like peddle those drugs around her school. And this is really dangerous. It's looking very bad for her because she's now caught up in this lifestyle. Like, she's trapped now. She's set herself up for failure in the sense, like, she is now in this lifestyle and she can't necessarily leave. She can't back out because, like Miss Mob Boss said, if she backs out, then she's cut. Like, that's the end of Rue. And I really want to know what Fez thinks about this when he finds out, because I know that Fez has been trying to keep Rue away from this lifestyle. Of course, he's been like incorporating her a little bit, but he has never really wanted this for her. And business-wise, I think this might be a little bit of competition for Fez, because don't they do like a similar thing? Like, aren't they both working for her? I'm interested to see like how this develops and if this develops. But that leads to Rue's next scene, which, like, if anything in this episode was a low, like if the stuff that we saw before wasn't enough, like this was a new low, and that was the stuff with Ali. She goes to her meeting with the suitcase full of substances and money and gets into this fight with Ali, and she's clearly not sober at this moment. She's like fighting with him. She's getting really disrespectful with him, and Ali is like warning her, like, please, like, I am here for you. Like, you do not talk to me this way. Like, if you say one more thing, like, I'm done. I'm out your life. And she weaponizes his own trauma against him and then blatantly disrespects him. For what? Like, Ali is the one person in her corner consistently that knows the truth about her and supports her still. Everyone else in her life that knows the truth about her, what she's been doing, has not had her best interests at heart or just pushes her away. Like, Ali is the first person in her life to actually embrace her and still want the best for her. And she's just pushed that figure out of her life. She's really just pushed that figure out of her life. And that's sad. That's really sad, and that's really scary, because what is going to happen now? What is going to happen now? Like if she doesn't have him as a sponsor, like a pillar, like where does she go from here? And I'm really nervous, but also excited to see like how her character develops. I heard some whispers and rumors around that some future episodes have her hitting rock bottom, but I'm excited to say the least. Pivoting on, let's talk about the love triangle that I predicted was going to happen, but not in this way, because this love triangle between Rue, Jules, and Elliot is just strange. We finally get to see them all come together and have a conversation. However, Elliot is far more messy than I initially anticipated. He is far more messy than I anticipated because I thought he just had a thing for Rue. Right. But it turns out that maybe he's not looking for anything specifically. Like he is just trying to get in their relationship and be there as a disruptor to their relationship. Like he does not care whoops he gets with. He's just trying to get with one of them. Because he admits this episode that he actually does have a crush on Rue, but also calls Jules and basically flirts with Jules when Rue's not around. So I'm like, what's your deal? What's your deal? If you're not trying to ruin their relationship, at the very least, you're there to point out the holes in it. And I am not here to defend Rue and Jules' relationship because I personally do not like it. Like they actually like don't have chemistry or that much in common besides being friends. Like I feel like they'd be better off as friends than as a couple. And you can really see this because this episode is like one of the first times we actually see like Rue and Jules be intimate. And it only really happens after Elliot points out that they have not really been intimate before. So Elliot in some kind of way was sort of like the catalyst for them to actually start being physical with each other, which feels a little weird. So I really do not know where this is going. I do think based on how the episode ended that maybe there's going to be a Jules and Elliot little fling-a-ding, just because I feel like personally they have more chemistry than Rue and Jules or Rue and Elliot ever would. Plus I find it really funny. I found it hilarious the way that Elliot would just speak to them and Elliot would be like, what Elliot say about Jules?
And you know, even though you've been by the entire galaxy, you're still you're great. Okay?
Yeah, like that was just like a whole lot. Now let's get over to Lexi because I feel like Lexi is starting something. Like she's cooking up something devious. Lexi decides to start a play, except it's not just any play, you see. It is a play that's based on all the lives of the people around her. So it's a very much meta. It's a play in a show talking about the show, basically exposing all these characters for who they are. And I think this is really messy because I feel like Lexi is going to expose everybody because she sees everything. She's an observer. She peeps a lot but doesn't say a lot. I feel like she's not only going to expose the Nate and Cassie drama, but also incorporate Maddie into it while also exposing the fact that Rue is no longer sober. Maybe just as like a treat, might flirt with Fez, like drop a hint, it's like Fez, hey. But I feel like it's going to be catastrophic when that play actually launches, simply because of the fact that no one knows it's coming. Like no one's really paying attention. They're all too wrapped up in their own stuff that like they are all gonna be blindsided. It's going to be messy and I can't wait. Now let's talk about this episode's clown, Cassie. Cassie. The Cassie Hive is in shambles this week because Cassie looked dumb this episode. She looked dumb this episode. Not physically, because like the outfits that she'd wear and just like the beat that she'd do every single day was giving. However, the fact that she would wake up at 4 a.m. every single day to get dressed and really put herself together for Nate every single day to ignore her, except for the one time that she dressed up like Maddie and got like a sliver of attention, like that is bad. Like you were down bad. Down awful even. But it really just shows the lengths that she's willing to go to be loved, which is terrifying because she's literally accepting bare minimum. Actually, I'd go even farther, like less than the bare minimum, like bottom of the barrel scraps, you know? And that whole scene where like Nate and her are hooking up and she's like, I like that I'm your little secret that I can never tell a soul. Like girl, shut up. Like girl, please get some therapy, get some help, because you should not be looking for that. Like you should not be proud of that. Like aspire for higher, Bessie, please. You should not be this excited to be a side piece, respectfully. Like you deserve so much better than Nate Jacobs, your best friend's abuser. Like, wow. I really can't with Cassie. I really cannot with Cassie. But Cassie's side, now I want to kind of talk about one of the highlights of this episode, really. And that was the scene with Fez and Ashtray and Cal Jacobs. Okay. So basically, Cal Jacobs, he gets a whole backstory this episode. Like he starts off the episode getting his whole like, so this is Cal Jacobs. And we basically find out what we already knew before, that he was into one of his high school friends, basically gets caught up with who becomes Nate's mom, gets trapped in the relationship because they end up having a baby, gets in a marriage, and is just overall feeling trapped, whatever. That brings us to today, where Cal has that similar feeling of being trapped because he knows his tape is hanging over his head and he can't really do anything about it because his life is gonna be over. And there's a scene in this episode where he actually shows like what would happen. Worst case scenario if he got found out. So he still feels trapped, very much trapped. He's a trapped being. He goes over to Fez's place because we find out that Nate, might be a lie, might be the truth, we don't really know. Nate snitched on Fez and said that Fez has the tapes. And I think Nate is really sneaky for this because I think based on how this episode ends, he sent his father on a wild goose chase just because he knew how Fez would react. And he gets kidnapped. He basically gets kidnapped and then gets held at gunpoint by none other than Ashtray. And might I say, Ashtray is unhinged. Unhinged. Top scene this episode. I just love how each brother gets to handle a Jacob. Like episode 1, Fez handles Nate. Episode 3, Ashtray handles this grown ass man, Cal Jacobs. Like whenever Cal would threaten him or even just look in his direction, like look at him funny, Ashtray would be there with the back of the gun being like, bow! Like Ashtray! Like it got to a point where even Fez was like, damn Ash, like chill out. And like if Fez, the guy who was just beating a boy over the head with a Tito's bottle and knocking another guy out not 2 episodes ago, is telling you to chill out, like if you know he's telling you to chill out, maybe you're going a little bit too far. Maybe Ashtray's a little bit too unhinged. Like he's a little bit too grown to be a 12-year-old. But I loved every single scene of it. And like again, Faye in the background, her commentary just I love it. I really just love the 3 of them together. The real gold of the scene is that Cal actually admits to hooking up with Jules to the group. And the information is leaked. And in turn, Cal now knows that Nate also was in love with Jules. And why I think this is so important, my little theories right now, I think this now creates a sense of mutually assured destruction. Because before, Nate had the upper hand because he had information on his dad, but his dad had no power to really refute anything. Now, there's more of a reason for them to work on the same side because I really don't think that Nate wants the rest of the world or even his dad knowing that him and Jules are hooking up with the same person or that he loves Jules. So now I feel like Cal can sort of use that information to make sure that those tapes don't get leaked. Picture this, Nate leaks the tapes. So what? His dad goes under. In his final words before he gets locked up and sent to prison, he outs Nate for also being with Jules. Now Nate's whole sexuality is out to the public because now Jules has no reason to hide her information and can finally say like, oh yeah, he has like on his phone, and Maddie can come out being like, yeah, that boy has on his phone. So now there's like a sense of mutually assured destruction. Like neither of them can really say anything and sort of puts them on the same team in a sense, which is why the ending is so important to me, where Nate Jacobs stands up Cassie, which I mean, Cassie, come on now. Maybe this would be a wake up call, but he goes to see Maddie while she's babysitting. And while I feel like people would love to think that maybe this was a genuine act of like them trying to get back together, I think this is Nate's way of trying to get those tapes back. Because either we're missing a couple scenes where Nate and Cal are like, all right, we need to get these tapes, or Nate is just genuinely out there getting the tapes under wraps so he can have full control. But either way, he is not there for Maddie. He is not there for Maddie, and I can tell you that for a fact. I just am really concerned for Maddie because again, she is not home and she's by herself. Or not by herself, she has that kid there, but still, like it's not looking great here. I'm really interested now because it's making more sense with like the whole babysitting backstory that I was talking about before. Like all that context that we got in like episode 2, I think, is making so much more sense of why that was included. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where like this next episode goes. I really hope for episode 4 we get some more clarity on like the whole Maddie, Cassie, and Nate triangle, as well as getting some well-needed Lexi and Fez alone time, because I feel like we have not gotten that. Like we need some more. We need some more. The gas station scene was just a little tease. Like we need like a full scene between the 2 of them just interacting by themselves. So I'm hoping that comes in episode 4. But yeah, also quick thing before I wrap up this breakdown, like I feel so bad for Kat. I'm sorry, Kat. Like Kat, you had an awful dinner. I am so sorry. That seemed so awkward. Okay, but after that, that's gonna be all for this episode's breakdown, y'all. What are your thoughts? What did you think of this episode, and what do you think is going to happen next? Let me know down in the comments below. Again, if you are new to the channel, definitely subscribe because I do these breakdowns every single week, and make sure to turn on my post notifications so that you never miss when I post. Again, make sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it because it helps me and this video out so much, and to follow me on social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that at imuRgency. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I've been imuRgency, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.